again, CrossFitter designation, but it's just too true. I love the community at Markham CrossFit. I just love it. I was saying to Deb that community is something that I'm especially appreciating during these moments in time. And Deb and I were out for a walk this morning. We were talking about the Markham CrossFit gym and the community that is held there, and Cristini Athletics, and what you guys are doing by way of continuing to perpetuate that through technology is great leadership. So thanks for that. And thanks for this opportunity. Thanks for this. I appreciate it. Summer, thanks for pushing Deb, who pushed me, and here we are, right? I appreciate that. So listen, I was reading in Forbes magazine this morning, just this morning, interestingly enough. I had already been reflecting upon what to put in front of everyone in this great forum. And this author by the name of Margie Worrell, she wrote a book called, it's called The Life-Changing Power of Trusting Yourself. So, and the title is You've Got This. The subtitle is The Life-Changing Power of Trusting Yourself. And so she wrote this article for Forbes magazine, came out this morning, and it's called Finding Purpose in the Pandemic. And I think that's something that we all have to do. We've got to find purpose in this pandemic. And she makes this initial statement in her article. She says, there's nothing like a pandemic to make one step back and rethink life. Nothing like a pandemic to make one step back and rethink life. Well, I'm in my mid-50s, and this is the first pandemic I've ever experienced, quite frankly. And so it's been very interesting for me at this stage to step back and just to experience life in a new and a fresh way. There's two key words that I am forever having to balance between in my own personal life. And it's interesting that there are two words that are really prevalent right now in the middle of this pandemic. The first word is the word isolation. Isolation is something that I crave. I actually crave alone time, and isolation is part of my personality. The other word that's coming out big time right now is the word community. And so isolation is important, but also community is important. I find in my own personal life, I'm forever having to balance the tension of both of those because of what I do in life. I crave one, but I know I actually need the other. I crave isolation, but I know that I actually need community. Looked up the two words just for fun. I'm always playing with words. And the word isolated means far away from other places, buildings, or people. It means living remotely, having minimal contact or little contact with others. The word community means a grouping of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common, a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. So I think one of the things that I'm so grateful for during this period of social distancing and the ethic of minimal contact has this, what I'm really appreciating is that it's afforded all of us the ability to maximize our moments. So this minimal contact is actually helping us to maximize our moments. And what I'm learning is that more does not necessarily mean better. More does not necessarily mean better. And it's during this period of social distancing and minimal contact that I experienced sort of a metaphor for this. More does not necessarily mean better. And I found myself at a wedding on Saturday. And this wedding was supposed to be 300 or 400 people. It was supposed to be a huge celebration. And one of the tragedies, or one of the hardships of this pandemic, is people are having to cancel weddings that have been in preparation for sometimes 1 or 2 years. There's a half a year's worth of weddings that have been canceled at this point, and people are hurting. Anyway, this couple decided to get married anyway. And I had the opportunity to be at the wedding, to officiate the wedding. And then of course we had the 2 witnesses. So we met our maximum of 5 people for this wedding. And I'm sitting there, I'm standing there, I'm going through the entire experience with them. this couple, it was so cool. They brought a wedding cake, they brought a bottle of champagne, and they brought a speaker system. I married them within the 15 to 20 minutes, which was the ceremony. And then the music started, and the five of us celebrated at a distance their marriage ceremony. And the two of them danced to the most beautiful love song right there in that atrium at the church with massive amount of space there. But here they are as a couple, and the three of us watching them. It was a deeply meaningful moment. It's probably going to go down as one of my favorite weddings of all time. This is what I'm saying. It doesn't require more for something to be deeply meaningful. And so what I'm finding is that there are these moments that kind of maximize our sense of value. And that for me is one of them. Another one, I'll just share this and then I'll ask maybe some questions, but another one would be, I live a really busy life and I'm always on the run, but my life has sort of been reduced to three people. And it's Deb, my wife, Ethan, my stepson or Deb's son, and myself. And life has been sort of reduced to the three of us. And most of my quality time is with them in close proximity. And one of the things that I've been able to do with Ethan that I, up to this point, after being married to Deb for 7 years, have never had the opportunity to do, is I've had this opportunity to read through 2 books with my 13-year-old son. And one was 6 critical decisions one must make as a teenager, and the other one was the 7 habits of highly effective teens. And we went through the 2 books together. And man, oh man, to have those quality moments with Ethan, and for him and I to have dialogue, for him to ask questions, and for me to be able to share stories, and for the 2 of us together to find unbelievable life-enhancing moments in time together, just as he's about to go into grade 9. You can't buy this stuff. You can't buy these moments, and you got to seize them when they're presented to you. And I just find that this pandemic is presenting moments like this where we're sort of surprised that we can gain such value in places we never thought we'd gain it. So I lay that before you as a musing or as a consideration. More does not necessarily mean better. And it's one of the ethics or the values that I'm learning in the middle of this pandemic. How about you guys? I mean, what are you experiencing? Are there not some silver linings to this COVID-19 virus for you? What are you sort of standing back looking at and going, I didn't see that coming, but it's awesome? Anything?
Well, I'll go ahead and say something. I have noticed leading up to this, we were incredibly busy, running constantly from activity to activity, sport to sport, and it wasn't always enjoyable. I felt every time I described it to someone, it was like a kind of a complaint about how busy we are. And oh, here we go again, you're so busy. And that was like the gist of most of the conversations I had with people, is how busy they are and how much they have going on. And oh my God, that's so crazy. You think I'm busy? Wait till you hear like how busy this guy is. And it just was like the focus of everything. And now that we are the absolute opposite and everyone can breathe, it's actually quite enjoyable to have less to do. And I've talked, like my mom's here, I've talked to a lot of people about this here actually, how you very, very quickly realize that most of the things you thought were needs are really just wants. They're not needs at all. And if you have the very basic things covered, like, you know, food, shelter, kind of stuff, then you can start to find enjoyment in a lot of the smaller things, the things that I used to think were really important, the, you know, commercial things or having a lot of places to go. Like none of that is really of any value whatsoever. You see, we're all still here without having 7 hockey practices and basketball practices and, you know, a whole bunch of running around to do and money to spend and that kind of thing. So I think it's just been an eye-opening thing. And I also think, since I'll just keep talking, we often talk about gratitude and how we should feel grateful and we're so fortunate, but we don't often really have the opportunity to make meaning with that because we're so busy doing other things. And now that we really don't have anything else to do, like we do have the opportunity to look around and realize what there is to be grateful for. Like one of my favorite quotes was, and it's kind of scary, but now it makes a lot of sense to me. What if you woke up today with only what you were grateful for yesterday? And what that looks like has changed for me tremendously over the last month or so. So anyway, thank you.
Awesome.
I shall mute myself.
Yeah. Anyone else? The question is, what silver linings are you finding in the midst of this, where maybe more is not always what is most meaningful?
I think Summer summed it up like really, really well, that everybody probably doesn't want to talk after her right now because she pretty much said everything that I think that I'm thinking and most people are. So it's hard to follow up. But I think the biggest thing is, like you said, we were so busy we couldn't be present, right? Yeah. So you don't realize how fortunate we are to just have family with dinner with our family, which is usually a struggle for me because I come home so late, and we don't sit down and have family dinners as much as we want. And now we're doing it every night. We're making it a point for us to have the TV off. Everyone's sitting down together. And you don't realize how simple that is, but how amazing it is. And it's hopefully given us enough perspective to make it a point to try to continue with that when we're done isolating ourselves.
Yeah, well said. Well said, Chris. Anyone else?
I have something.
Yeah, hey Brian, it's Roman. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I've got.
All right, good.
Okay, go ahead, Roman.
Hey folks. Yeah, so probably not a surprise for those that know me like Summer. It's amazing what you realize when you're in this situation, that all of a sudden you take for granted, at least I'll speak for myself, I've taken for granted all the things that give me a lot of joy because now I've had to give most of them up, right? Mm-hmm. And so now all of a sudden, as you sit back and reflect, you realize, holy shit, I miss that stuff. And that what I do, what I've done, like, is really important.
Yeah.
And so I think what it's doing for me is kind of underlining the fact that I'm going to give that a little more respect and probably more attention moving forward. And a lot of it revolves, I'm sure not a surprise to anybody, it's about people, right? The people in my life and what they mean to me. And what I realize now, I got to take it up a notch when this all ends. And so that's number one. And number two, it's on a personal level. I realize, you know what? Because I live alone, even though I have a partner, Cristini, and I've been spending time with her because we've been connected from the very beginning of this thing. I realize now that I don't like being alone. I'm not an alone kind of person. Mm-hmm. And so and that's probably not a revelation to all the people that know me, but for me, it's been kind of an aha moment, saying, shit, mm-hmm. I got to take that seriously, and realize that that's important to me. So those are two things.
Yeah. Yeah, saying it's so funny, saying holy shit, by the way, is like Stephen Covey, it's like Stephen Covey talking about his aha moments, right? So right. You're saying the exact same thing. I love the way you're putting it. It's like the lights are going on. The lights are going on. And
yes, sir.
I think that's so important, Roman. I think it is. Yeah. Anybody else? Maria, you were going to say something, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
For me, two things. First thing is when I used to work at the gym, I would always come home and just like rush everything in life. So like, okay, what does Cristiano have for homework? I have to make a dinner tonight, and then I have to make lunch for tomorrow. I have to do this, and then I have to clean my kitchen. And it was just like a list of things that was just never ending. And it was like, I'll do that next week because I'm so tired. I'll do that next week because I'm so tired. Yeah. And then I realize now, I realized it before, but not to a certain degree. I realize now how much I was so worried about things being clean and not actually sitting down with my children.
Yeah.
And which is something my mother used to do a lot. And I used to always say, I never ever want to be like that. But it's literally, like Chris and I were talking about it the other day, and it was a really aha moment for me. And because I don't want to be like that, but then you just get stuck in this like whole rat race of like work, mom life, all this, junk, hockey, this and that, what Summer was talking about, that now I'm like, who cares if I don't clean that today? Because guess what? I'm staying home tomorrow and I'm going to clean it tomorrow. So I'm literally spending time with my kids and like making things with them. And they're saying, can we do this? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of surprised. Like, so it's so great. That those little nuances with my kids. The other thing is that not being wasteful. So I know Chris, if he's on here, will understand this. My toothpaste. So half the time I will throw it out, but it's not even nearly done. So now I am sucking the life out of my toothpaste because I don't want to, waste it. It's just insane how much is in my toothpaste that I did not even realize. So like, I'm so thankful for that. And I'll never do that again.
This is one of those aha moments. I love it.
Oh my God, it's just so wasteful. So those are my two things.
That's great. That's great. It's great to see everybody on here. Hey.
I just wanted to say, just because this is, we were talking earlier when we were walking today, that a lot of people had said to me, oh, my life is on hold, or life is on hold. And then you made a comment this morning, Brian, and said, no, life is now. Like whatever we're doing, it's now. We're not on hold. This is it. And so for me, it's always difficult to be in the moment. I'm always sort of rushing, like everybody else saying, from one thing to the next. So that was a really eye-opening thing to talk about this morning, just about life is right now, and and enjoy it and not think that it's on hold. But yeah, that's really cool. And I'm super thankful for the gym that I can have internet. That's what I'm grateful for. Internet and Zoom.
Yeah, we have internet in the gym now. I was gonna say, where are you anyway?
I'm downstairs.
All right. Yeah, it's a shame, when people say, I can't wait till life gets back to normal, or they, I get that, I understand that, and I'm sympathetic with that. But life is so now. Like we don't even know what normal's gonna be 2 months, 3 months, 4 months down the road. We have no idea. But we got to live it out right now. We got to make the most of it right now. So, yeah, good thoughts. Anybody else?
I do.
Yeah, Anna.
Kind of continue with what Maria's saying, the wastefulness. Normally I go grocery shopping once or twice a week. I'll go in, pick up new things. I waited 3.5 weeks before I actually went grocery shopping. And I make do with whatever I have. I go through my cupboards and I make do with what I have. I have never been so, if there is a piece of wilted lettuce, usually the whole thing goes. No, now half of the wilted part goes, everything stays. I have saved bajillions of dollars. That, or just like, you know what, I'm just going to skip out to Home Center. Let me just go out to Walmart or go out to Winners. There's none of that happening. And actually, I'm really happy for it. And I'm getting rid of so much stuff from my house. Decluttering, cleaning up, and it just feels like a load off. So that's a big thing for me.
Awesome. Cool. Oscar, good to see you with glasses on, man. Nice to see you.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing
Sorry,
well.
I'm a little late. I had some personal training, but what was the question?
Yeah, we were just asking, where's the silver linings in this pandemic? Like, we're all needing to live in the moment. We're needing to appreciate what is rather than what isn't. And we're talking about some of the things we didn't see coming that we're valuing now, like these aha moments. And so like for me to have moments with Ethan, my son, the kind of moments are qualitative moments, right? That wouldn't have happened if it weren't for this pandemic. And I was talking about how I married a couple this weekend. There was just probably one of the best weddings I've ever been to. and it was so meaningful. And so, but I didn't see that coming, right, Oscar? So that's what we're talking about. What are these sort of unforeseen blessings that we're experiencing in the midst of this pandemic? Yeah.
If I'm sharing about that, I have a little one right here.
There you go.
And it seems like since she was born, like definitely we got two older boys, like 5 and 3. So it seemed like I just realized like I was missing a lot of her little things, because the boys are like older and maybe work and something like that. But now, like, just her transition from baby to being like funny or saying first words, that's by far my highlight of all this. Just getting to know her. Yeah. Even like I'm with her a lot of the time, but you know, like just getting to know her. Like that's for me one of the big ones that this situation has brought, and I'm really thankful.
What a gift, right? What a gift. That's awesome. Hey, Gord, how you doing?
Good, Brian. Good.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. How's your family?
All good.
Everybody's good. Good to see you.
Yep.
Yeah. Nice. Any sort of unforeseen silver linings for you in the midst of this?
I sort of see a couple of things. One, just it's a chance to, practice adapting to change, because change is always going to happen, whether it's this or some other thing. It's something that we did a lot back when I was in the military, but you kind of get on autopilot out here in the regular universe. But ultimately things are always going to change. You've got this, you've got a pipe that bursts at the gym, you've got something happens at home, your house burns down, you've got, you have to remember that, I've got a general direction I want to go, but there are many paths to get there.
True.
And so just being able to adapt to change, and you know what, this is a chance to try different things without a whole lot of repercussions to them, which is a great opportunity to practice that.
Very true.
You can try, if you're not a great cook, well, you're going to have to try that now. And if you mess up a few meals, so what?
So be it.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that we've started doing actually since this began is, it's kind of a fun thing we do on Saturday nights now called Pancakes and PowerPoint. So we have pancakes for dinner, and then each of us in the family does a 10-minute presentation on anything that you want. So my youngest daughter was doing it. Basically, it was a way for her to practice for her chemistry homework. And we've done all sorts of weird and wonderful things. My oldest daughter talked about musicals that she likes. I did a lecture on Navy slang. My wife did one on lighthouse design. It's not intended to be an academic thing, just, entertainment and have fun with it. But you get to learn a little bit more about your family or the group along with it.
I love it. Thanks for sharing that, man. Andrea, how are you? You there?
Yeah, doing all right.
Good to see you. How's this pandemic been for you, and what are you seeing as a silver lining, or as something you didn't see coming, a positive?
Well, I'm really thankful. I used to live on my own, and I live with a roommate. I've lived with a roommate for almost a year now, and so I'm so thankful for that, because I think I would die if it was just me in this apartment. Maybe not. Like, I'm sure there's other ways and stuff, but so I'm thankful for that. And also it's been kind of cool to see the creativity, like we're working out together and she's joining CrossFit Markham from afar, and that's kind of fun. And I think just like the creativity with thinking of like who are the people that I really care about and that I want to reach out to, and then like looking for opportunities to connect with them, even if it can't be like physically, right? I think the other thing also, like Gord was saying how at times in your life you go through different seasons of suffering, but like hard things that happen to you. But I think this is interesting because like it's collective, like it's happening to everybody at the same time. So it's sort of like, in a way, it actually connects us all.
Yeah.
Because we're like all going through it together. So we all understand, even though we're going through it differently, like we all understand a little bit. So in some ways it builds community, even though you're farther away.
Think about that. true. That's such a great point. Think about how many times in life are we all going through the same thing at the same time together? That's such a great point, Andrea. Yeah, that's profound.
Thank
Anybody
you.
else like to share?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Christine.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. I just wanted to say I'm amazed, and it's great to see all the people out walking or jogging, whatever, and keeping their distance. But even because I work from home now, and when I look outside, I'm amazed at how many people who are out there, which is great because you never see that. I mean, people are in their cars or whatever, but now they're out, they're smiling, they talk to you from afar. But it's actually been quite nice, and it'll be interesting to see what happens when all this is over.
Yeah, it's so true.
To see if you have people connecting like that. And I think we're lucky because we do have internet and Zoom and House Party or whatever, that we can keep in touch with the people that we really want to, which is great.
Yeah. Good,
but I just like getting out. Because I walk the dog, and I just like getting out there and talking to people and having them smile back at you for a change, which is quite nice.
And people are smiling, which
yeah, they are.
They seem to be smiling more, which I find fascinating, right?
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. So hopefully that'll be a nice change.
Yeah, I like it.
It's the novelty of seeing a new face, Brian.
It's so true.
Yeah.
New faces. So true. Anybody else like to share? Silver linings in the midst of this.
I think for me, it's not so much that it's been like the silver lining of the current situation. I think it's something that I never realized how much mattered to me in the past, was that I'm really lucky and I'm really thankful to have actually so much of my family in a pretty close proximity to me. You know, we're definitely a pretty close family, and, you know, going over to my parents' house or my in-laws on Sundays is a pretty common thing. But I guess when you're kind of in the mix of that and you do that every Sunday and it becomes like a routine, you don't see the benefit of it. Not to say that you don't see the benefit of it, but you take advantage of it. Like, it's not as a big deal to you. And one of the biggest things for me has been not going to my parents' house on Sundays, not going to my in-laws. You know, I've got a new baby at home. She's 3 months old, and I wish right now that I could have my mom, you know, give her a hug, and I can have my mother-in-law give her a squeeze. I know I can see she's saying I want to give her a hug too, but you know, so for me, it's been partly because of the baby in the situation. I realized how much I really do appreciate going to my parents' house, going to see all my family, going to see, I mean, I've even got on my in-laws side, I've got a niece as well, a new niece, and I don't get to see her all that much right now. So that's one thing. It's more so like, I can't wait to count down the days just so I can go to my parents' house and I can go see my family, and we can do our Sunday brunches and things like that. I think it's brought out more appreciation for what seemed like a routine thing, but it is actually a really big thing for me.
So good. Deprivation sometimes brings out new valuation, right? Like, it just, all of a sudden, that which we're certainly enjoying it, but we just see it as such an important thing in our life like never before. Having grandma with the grandkids is huge. Grandma and grandpa, for sure. Yeah. Hey, I'm just going to close out because I know we're supposed to have just about a half an hour here. But I want to just recommend the article to you. It's called Finding Your Purpose in a Pandemic. It's written by Margie Worrell, and it's out today in Forbes magazine. You can look it up online. You can get it on Flipboard. But let me just quote her just as I bring it to a close. She says, she's talking about everything coming sort of to sort of this definitive end in her schedule. And she says, with nowhere to go and my book tour canceled, space opened up to do things that I'm too busy for. Reading books, deep conversations, journal writing, rethinking life. She goes on to say, my self-reflections affirmed the path that I'm on, yet they made me uncomfortably present to how often in the midst of pursuing my purpose, I get swept up in busy doing, planes to catch, people to see, at the expense of who I am or who I'm becoming. Over the last month, connecting to my purpose has galvanized my courage on the harder days when fears have dialed up and overwhelmed. And rituals have helped me get back on my cause, and they've enabled me to refocus my energy in ways that have served me and hopefully others as well. And she just goes on to talk about how this pandemic has actually, even though her life has come to a stop, it has brought so much value to her. And it's that reevaluation of things that I think is the greatest gift that we're probably all going to receive from this pandemic. But anyway, thanks for allowing me to just even spend this half an hour with you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Brian, can you repeat the name of that again? Finding Purpose in the Pandemic?
Yeah, it's out today. It's called Margie Worrell. So it's Margie, and it's Worrell, Warrell, and it's Finding Your Purpose in a Pandemic, and that's on Forbes. It's Forbes magazine.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Thanks.
All right. Summer, thanks for pressing. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian. That was great.
Okay, see you guys soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks for your contributions. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.